Here we are going live on Zoom. Kerry Palm, this mic is all yours.
All right. Yeah, that was a nasty virus. I don't know what it was. To the doctor yesterday finally, and he looked in my ears and my throat and everything. Said I'll be all right. But yeah, for about 4 days, I had solid headache and temperature, and man, could hardly stand up. Still not 100%, but much better. I tried to get YouTube to play on here, and all I could hear were the ads. I'll try it again right here. See if I can, while I have the mic, if I can hear it. I don't even hear the ad.
This land is your land.
There we go.
This land is my land.
The music plays and I'll pipe it through.
This land was made for you and me.
Hang on a second.
This is the latest razor developed by Gillette, a super sharp and portable razor.
All
It
right.
features.
Oh, wow. That's weird. Volume's full blast and I don't hear anything. Ah, man, I don't feel like figuring it out right now. I didn't even like figuring out setting this computer up, and new computers are fairly easy to set up. But man, this phone link kept giving me problems, and then when I gave up on it, it started working. I don't know. Wow. Patience with computers anymore. I take my hat off to you, Lynn, for doing all that. I mean, they're fine when they work good, but when something you want to do doesn't work, you have to figure it out. It's like, man. A lot of patience for that. So we'll just do it like this and I'll figure out the music later. Oh, number 31 today, huh? I am not a victim of the world I see. Today's introduction, the idea of it is your declaration of release. The idea should be applied to both the world you see within and without. Applying the idea, we will use a form of practice which we will be used more and more, with changes as indicated. Generally speaking, the form includes two aspects, one in which you apply the idea on a more sustained basis, and the other consisting of frequent applications, the idea throughout the day. And I noticed when I was laying there on the couch today, I didn't think much about the course. I tried not to think much about anything, but it was difficult, to come up with course ideas when I was, had a headache and I just didn't really want to hear anything. I just lay on the couch for hours in quiet, and just kind of monitor my mind, and it was just rambling on, same problem we all have. Just the whole problem that we have, and the reason we feel bad and guilty and anxious and sick and all that is really because we think independently of the universe. And as long as you hold that idea of your mind in mind, you're going to suffer. And it's just as simple as it is. And when you first think about that, it sounds crazy not to think that. I mean, everyone's mind is private. You don't know what I think, and I don't know what you think, right? Kind of cherish that idea. I mean, that's like the last idea to really let go, and it's really the only one that we have to let go. Two longer periods of practice with the idea for today are needed, one in the morning and one at night. 3 to 5 minutes for each of them is recommended. During that time, look about slowly, repeating the idea, and then close your eyes and apply the same idea to your inner world. You will escape from both together, for the inner is the cause of the outer. And what does he say? The world is an outward picture of an inward condition. As we survey our inner world, merely let whatever thoughts cross your mind come into your awareness, each to be considered for a moment and then replaced by the next. Try not to establish any thought of hierarchy among them. There's no hierarchy in our illusions. We like to think some are more important than others, especially when they concern our body, our wellness. Those are the most important, right? Watching them come and go as dispassionately as possible. Do not dwell on anyone in particular, but try to let the stream Try to let the stream move on evenly and calmly without any special investment on your part. As you sit quietly and watch your thoughts, repeat the idea as often as you care to, but with no sense of hurry. In addition, repeat the idea for today as often as possible during the day. Remind yourself that you are making a declaration of independence in the name of your own freedom. And in your freedom lies the freedom of the world. Again, I don't think we really think that, It takes a while to get that idea and, embedded in the psyche. We think our freedom is our freedom and it has nothing to do with the world. The idea for today is also a particularly useful one to use as a response to any form of temptation. It is a declaration that you will not yield to it and put yourself in bondage. Bondage is really just thinking independently, ordering up our own thoughts. And that's really the whole game there. If we didn't think we had a private mind, we could be still and we would think, in harmony with the universal mind, rather than order up our crazy, independent psycho thoughts. And that's really what they are. Any thought I think on my own is going to be based on my separation, my private mind. Oh, there you go. Thanks, dog. Finally jumped off the chair. Yeah. Oh, pause for a moment. Realizes I'm not the victim of the world I see. It's funny. I don't know what the timing was, but it was just a few hours before the transition there, and I started feeling shitty. And I still haven't really watched much of the news or noticed what's really going on in the world. A little bit here and there, and it's just crazy. Just no reason to even be concerned about it. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Doesn't have to bother me unless I let it. Decided this is a declaration of my mind opening up to think in unison with God and reality rather than independently and be all guilty and fearful. And that's all that we can do when we think on our own is just be judgmental and suffer. Start from where I left off today on these little 20-minute booklet. I have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need to do is recognize this, and I am free. It's simple. I like the way how this just simple, direct statements. And then all you'd have to really do is just want them to be true and believe them, and you'd spring out of this place. Amazing that we could read this and hear people talk about it over and over and over again, and we still sit here and think that we have to die here, to really be free. I was cussing God a few days ago, or last week anyway, about feeling this way, Like, all I need to do is recognize this and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is impossible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. He is where God would have me be, not where I thought to hold him prisoner. Of course, we don't really think we're even holding the Son of God prisoner here because we don't think we're the Son of God. And that thought's just try telling anyone that, like, it's just an insane idea. You're not. And funny, isn't it? Funny how we deny and for favor of being something we're not, something that just isn't dead yet, that suffers and gets old, has problems. Yeah, there is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribe to it, there must be another way of looking at it. It's a human here. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. The opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son. It must be then that the world is really a place where he can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is, see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom. Hmm. And I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I made up for it to obey. The rules of nutrition, money, government, races, people, sexes. It's all insane. As I read this and realize it, I just kind of don't have anything to say to anymore, which is a good thing. I used to think I had things and I wanted to say, but I just didn't, like talking. Yeah, I realize what a waste of time it is really talking. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it, and I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. Now, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. Deep within myself. Most of the talking that we do as humans is just a bunch of chatter, just dictates reliving the past or planning a future based on what we think the past held. Nobody's really in the present moment. Not holy, are they? The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness, shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. I see the face of God, the image of God in everything. And I wonder, how could I have not ever noticed that? I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. And that's all based on the idea of what I think I am. If I'm just a body, then everything's going to be bodies, disconnected and with just names, stories. It's almost like we defend our stories about them, they make us feel guilty, but we think we need to give something a name and have a story about it. Otherwise, it's not being nice to it. We people and put identities out there, and they're meaningless. I mean, if we don't change our mind here, after a few years, you're going to be gone, and no one's even going to know you were ever here. You get closer to laying down, you'll come and realize that. You start laughing at all the stuff you used to cherish and value and think was important here. It'll just become a joke. You just blah, blah, blah. Yeah. My holiness envelops, transcends, covers, fills everything I see. There's no my holiness independent of anything else. It's my holiness collectively with everything. Just a totally different way of thinking and using your mind. From my holiness does the perception of the real world come. Having forgiven, I no longer see myself as guilty. I can accept the innocence that is the truth about me. I can accept the innocence This is the truth about me. Seen through understanding eyes, the holiness of the world is all I see. For I can picture only the thoughts I hold about myself. There it is. See, I can only see what I think I am. And whatever I think I am is what I'll see. My holiness blesses the world. The perception of my holiness does not bless me alone. Everyone and everything I see in its light shares in the joy it brings to me. And so you just have to walk around and smile, you know? A quiet smile and with a tranquil mind is better than 1,000 years of talking and lecturing and explaining and, you know, programming. There is nothing that is apart from this joy because there is nothing that does not share my holiness. As I recognize my holiness, so does the holiness of the world shine forth for everyone to see. When you turn on the light, you don't have to describe what the light is. You don't have to, wow, it's just there. God just is, and that's all there is. We make up all these stories and excuses and reasons and programs and paths to get to him, and he's really what we are now. Well, all that stuff just drops away. Practicing the holy instant is just being still and inviting God to think through me and as me. I was amazed at that was such a difficult thing to be still when I felt bad. I just wanted my mind to turn off. Everything was just like giving me a headache. Everything. I couldn't listen to anything. But of course, I kept thinking. It was like it just never shut up. It's the compulsive addiction to compulsive thinking is really what you need to realize is our only addiction and our only problem. And the stories that come forth from that thinking. While we're addicted to it, we want our stories to be true. They change and alternate, and sometimes we're good and sometimes we're bad, but we want them to be true. That's why we keep telling them over and over again. Mhm. Even though there is no evil, it's just a religious concept. But why we think independently, we can be sure of one thing, that we are evil, because we don't think we're God. It's either God or evil, or God or the illusion, God or the ego, as the Course puts it. As I recognize my holiness, so does the holiness of the world shine forth for everyone to see. Mm. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. And the mind really is unlimited. Even our stories and our private thoughts are pretty much unlimited. We can think anything and do. Funny how we switched it around and we think our private mind is our salvation. Our private mind is our link. The only thing that knows about that is God, maybe, Uh, Yet that's the one thing that can never be true. The one illusion that keeps us here. And we put the face of innocence on our thoughts. We think we're the good one. We see the bad out there and talk about it. My holiness is unlimited in its power to heal because it is unlimited in its power to save. What is there to be saved from except illusions? You really can't teach that to someone else. You can't tell them their thoughts are illusionary and their body isn't real. They're gonna say, screw you. What is there to be saved from except illusions? And what are all illusions except false ideas about myself? My holiness undoes them all by asserting the truth about me. In the presence of my holiness, which I share with God Himself, all idols vanish. Poof. Eh, nothing. There's no sacrifice in giving up the thoughts that we have about our humanness and people. It's amazing that we cherish those ideas. We use our mind in that way and just suffer and get old. At least we don't live too long, huh? Imagine if we lived thousands of years to deal with this place for that long. Boy, we'd all commit suicide. Of course, we do anyway, don't we? And every death is suicide. Every death is my own. Try telling that to a human being. My holiness is my salvation, not my private thoughts, not the future based on the past, but my holiness right now. There's no evil. Such a good feeling, because I mean, I would have sworn just not that long ago. Of course there is. History is full of evil characters. Our stories are filled with evil characters. Everyone but ourselves, anyone can be that evil character in the human story here. Anyone but me, and even if I did do something bad, someone forced me to do it. I had to. It's funny how we can justify anything here. I mean, listen to those who worship idols, whether they be political or religious. Suck up to them and pathetic. It's a pathetic joke what we do with our mind and our thoughts here. It really is. Since my holiness saves me from all guilt, recognizing my holiness is recognizing my salvation. It is also recognizing the salvation of the world. Since I have accepted my holiness, nothing can make me fearful. And because I am unafraid, everyone must share in my understanding, which is the gift of God to me and to the world. Wow. Pretty direct, isn't it? Now, I find if you try talking like this direct to somebody else, all they're going to just start questioning. They'll try to summarize. Funny, everyone tries to do what AI does, is they listen to a little bit here and there of what you say and try to summarize it up in their own sentence or two about really what you're saying. And it really has nothing to do with it. It's just what they want it to mean. Now, we all have selective hearing. We'll only hear what we're willing to listen to. And otherwise, we will reject it and make it into something insane or make them insane. Anything not to have to hear it, not to have to contemplate it. Last thing a human being and ego ever wants to do is contemplate and think any of these ideas in the Course are actually true. They're just a way to occupy time for a little while to it being the ego. I am blessed as a son of God. Here lies my claim to all good and only good. No bad out there. It's good and only good. I am blessed as a son of God. All good things are mine because God intended them for me. I cannot suffer any loss or deprivation or pain because of who I am. And if I don't know who I am, all I'm going to experience is loss, deprivation, and pain. And I'll blame it on the world. I'll blame it on God. After about the third day of having that headache, I was pretty pissed off. Like, they didn't figure out what was going so long. I mean, I was I borrowed drugs from people that I know. I mean, I took like 2 Norcos, I took a couple of Valium, I took some Soma, and I still laid there miserable. I mean, normally a cocktail like that, I'd be pretty happy, you know. And it didn't even do anything. Nothing cut into that headache. It was worse than a COVID headache. COVID headache lasted like 18 hours. It was more intense probably than this 4-day headache, but it sucks. And you just uh, anyway, funny how we like to go back and relive things and emphasize our suffering. And we still do it. You know? It's called temptation. You're always going to do it as long as you. Thing is just to catch yourself doing it, realize what it is and why you're doing it, and you just kind of laugh it off. And as you feel better, it's a lot easier to laugh stuff off. You're gripped in the fever of it. It's pretty hard. At least for me, it is. Good thing I don't have that happen too often. Thank you. You know, I can't suffer loss or deprivation or pain because of who I am. God supports me, protects me, and directs me in all things. And if I could just remember that and keep that at top of mind at all times, this place would just spring, you'd fly out of here. But the place would have no meaning. No one's going to stay in a place that doesn't have any meaning. Of course, we think it has meaning, and that's what we use our mind for, to give this place meaning. Have stories about it. Tell others. His care for me is infinite, and he is with me, right now and forever. I am eternally blessed as his son. Mm, thank you. Nice to hear something direct like that from the mind of Jesus. Just kind of be still and let it just reverberate through and into my mind. Just cause it to be still. There's no yeah buts or so you're saying, you know, none of this questioning. Pseudo questions the ego likes to make, form of statements that say you're wrong. No one believes that. Funny, we like to go with what's universally believed here, thinking it's safe and sane. What's universally believed here is misery. One thing people don't believe universally here is that God goes with us wherever they go or wherever I go. Funny, they'll say that God's omnipresent and he's all there is, but then he's not here yet. You know? Or there's other things besides him that he's tempting or testing us for. Now, who would do that? I mean, shit, you wouldn't even do that to ego. Doesn't do that to things it's loved, but God does. You see how we've taken love and took it away and usurped it and now turned it into specialness. I mean, that's an attack. How can I be alone when God goes with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when perfect certainty abides in him? How can I be disturbed by anything when he rests in me in absolute peace? How can I suffer when love and joy surround me through him? Let me not cherish illusions about myself. I am perfect because God goes with me wherever I go. You know, we like to have these pitiful stories about ourselves, generate sympathy from people. And we have our heroic stories. It's just amazing the roles that we play here through life. Yeah, we play roles because we really don't know who we are. We think we have to make it up as we go along, and we do. Nobody's the same now as they were yesterday, and they're not going to be the same tomorrow. Who knows what can happen? You know, I'm a victim of the world I see as a human. I just have to adjust. That's what sinning is. Adjusting to the world, playing the new role, being the victim now, the sick person, the retired person, the rich person, the poor person, the romantic person. Jeez. Really is pathetic and pitiful. A human story. And to take credit for things here. Funny, we like to blame something for everything that's bad and anything good we'll take credit for. Politicians, preachers, they all like doing that stuff. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. I may not look to my own eyes to see today. I may be willing to exchange my pitiful illusion of seeing for the vision that is given by God. Christ's vision is his gift, and he has given it to me. I may call upon this gift today, right now, so that this day may help me to understand eternity. You need to think eternally, just like unlimitedness. No beginning, no ending. The human doesn't think that way. It thinks finitely, and beginning and ending, and don't have a whole lot of time left, right? We have all the time in the world, and then at some point in our lives, and we don't. We start thinking, endingly, thinking about the end. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. I cannot think apart from him either. I can see what God wants me to see. I cannot see anything else. What we call seeing is just image making with our thoughts. You could just close your eyes and just get a deep breath and just ask God to show me what he would have me see. Me hear what you would have me hear. Yeah, right there. Beyond his will lie only illusions. And it is these I choose when I think I can see apart from him. It is these I choose when I try to see through the body's eyes. That the vision of Christ has been given me to replace them. It is through this vision that I choose to see. God is the light which I see. What is the light? Does it show me? How will I feel in it? These are the types of questions that are asked us during the course or in the course. Funny, as I do this, these questions pop up like that in my mind training or thinking or contemplating or musing or whatever you want to call what I do. Doesn't matter to me. I cannot see in darkness. God is the only light. Therefore, if I am to see, it must be through him. I've tried to define what seeing is, and I've been wrong. And it's because things are universally believed here and seen and given names and form. Doesn't make them real. We think because we get people to agree with us and teach our children and students that stuff, that's what it is. And it seems to work to keep our temptations going and our illusions going. Of course, nobody's really happy with what the world, what we've made here. Nothing satisfies. If you're honest, you come to that realization. Because people just keep on having the next thing to order. They order up what they think they need, what makes them happy, and then get it, and then two more things will come up. So you're constantly just seeking, but never really finding, which is what all humans do, right? Seek, but do not find. At least nothing that lasts. And I've gotten some things before and felt pretty good for an hour or two. And then something would come in and I go, not now. So yeah, but, or an add on. It doesn't matter what you get here, you're quickly going to realize that it just doesn't do what I thought it would do. So therefore, I need more. And what is more? And what does Dove say more is? The Antichrist? Yeah, I have tried to define what seeing is, and I've been wrong. That has given me to understand that God is the light in which I see. Let me welcome vision, the happy world it will show me. As Buddha, I questioned all this stuff, and I just really just had the time, and I just sat there. I'm not going to do anything until I really know what's going on here. It took him what, 7 years? Here, have it happen in 7 seconds. God is the mind with which I think. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. I have no thoughts apart from Him because I have no mind apart from His. As part of His mind, my thoughts are His, and His thoughts are mine. Wow. Powerful sentences there. Of course, as a human, they're just going to kind of laugh at that idea. I said, no, no, I wouldn't want my mind to. No, we value private mind. We can bask, retreat into our illusions, make others suffer, make others blame, others are victims, be the victim to others. Doesn't really matter what. We can be any role here, just as long as it isn't true. A human being is willing to believe anything, as long as it isn't true. And what is true is seen as not yet or totally insane and not wanting, not want it. I don't want the truth. As a human, if my mind is God's, I'd rather have a private mind and suffer as a result of it. So I do, until I quit. It takes a little bit of honesty, willingness, a lot of reminding. Like Glorian says, it really is a 24/7 thing. I mean, you can toy with your mind in the beginning for a while, but at some point you'll realize you're really just a con. Just using this as a way to pass some time. It's not really true for you yet, right? Yet. There's always a yet here. There's something that has to happen first before I can be at peace. Somebody has to do something. It isn't me. Therefore, I just have to kill time until whoever does whatever they're supposed to do before we can be free, be in heaven. God is the love in which I forgive. God does not forgive because He is never condemned. The blameless cannot blame. The blameless cannot blame. And those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. There's nothing evil because God doesn't know of evil. And I really only know what He knows. Boy, that makes things a lot simpler, doesn't it? It kind of frees me from all the crazy stuff. Now I need really do nothing. It's a declaration of freedom, isn't it? I need do nothing. Need explain nothing. Need direct nothing. I need be nothing. Yet forgiveness is the means by which I will recognize my innocence. This is a reflection of God's love on earth. Not me forgiving the evil things that I've done or think others have done. It's just the reflection of love on earth. Quiet mind doesn't have to do anything or order its own thoughts. Is what its forgiveness is. Still think humans that forgiveness entails some kind of heroic thing on my part, or more, overlook the evils of the world. Of course, if they were true, we could never overlook them. And we don't. Goodness it's a folly here. Like everything else, it's a joke. At least it's the way the humans use it. Think of it. You don't really think of forgiveness as a reflection of God's love. That's exactly what it is. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me, raise me up. Every time I read that, I can't think of that dream where that happened to me. The resistance at the beginning and the yelling and the telling him, no, I'm not ready, I'm afraid, and then silence, and then the thought that I've always known this was true. You ever had dreams like that? God is the strength in which I trust. It is not my own strength which I forgive. It is through the strength of God in me, which I am remembering as I forgive. As I begin to see, I recognize his reflection on earth. I forgive all things because I feel the stirring of his strength in me. And I begin to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. Funny, everything's just always as it's been, you know. We've just kind of gone into this crazy way to use our mind where we're not really using it at all. While we're in that state, we take everything serious, and there's evil, and it's just got to protect and fight. At some point, you'll realize you're doing all that to yourself, and you quit doing it. Stop it. Yeah. Kind of like Bob, he's sitting right over here now. Funny, as I think of my mind as a portal, there isn't anyone dead. And everyone the world says is dead is really just right here with me. Has me with me. Yeah, it's a great way to use your mind. Wouldn't go around telling too many people that I do that, but I do. It's amazing as forgiveness takes over and we become whole-mindedness and miracle-minded. And things that we think are ridiculous to the ego. Just too insane to be true, or not true yet. Always thinking something has to happen first for any of what you're saying to be true. Just tell someone you're in heaven and they'll say, well, you haven't, you're right here. No, you're not. How safe the world will look to me when I can see it. It will not look like anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward me to bless me. Yeah, just that emerging face of Christ that comes through all the form here. Mind is still and open to the vision of Christ. See it just come right on through. It's amazing. All these names and stories I have for all this stuff here as a human really are meaningless because they're really all just imaginings to take away God. Have him be something else. Have me be something else because I don't see that face of Christ. I see names, objects, stories about him. And everything I use activates my mind in that way. Everything I see does. It's amazing. I will recognize in everyone and everything my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world that I have forgiven and that has forgiven me? God's voice speaks to me all through the day. There's not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There's not a moment in which his voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I'm walking steadily on toward truth. And there is nowhere else I can go. I like to think that we leave here, huh? Yeah. Drop the body, people say. Yeah, don't really go anywhere. Yeah, how can I go anywhere when I'm everywhere? No matter how cleverly we can disguise the body and dropping and leaving, it's still the belief in death. You don't believe in death, and you wouldn't even talk about the body. It would be meaningless to you, wouldn't it? Hear some people use these clever words as a way to not have to say they died when they made their transition. What the fuck does that mean? He died. Uh, there's nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to his son. You think he's going to say, well, I want you to die before you really know me? Keep up the good work, yeah. He doesn't know anything about this place. How could he? It's just the lower mind. And we pulled everything down to a place that we think is not eternity. Gave it rules and laws to obey, laws of temporalness, laws of form, all in an effort to usurp God's function and enhance our own delusions. Works pretty good, doesn't it? A very convincing world. If you want it to be. Start questioning it a little bit, you'll see that it doesn't hold anything. It's just a fraud, a con. People don't like to hear that. I think there's love here. Is there love and loss? Does God create temporal? Number 50, I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, hear me? I am sustained by his love. As I open my eyes, his love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, his love reminds me that his son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision he's given me, I remember that I am his son. Where the sun starts, there's God. Right. It was nice. Mm. Ellen, I think I'm gonna put it down now. I'm tired of sitting here. So it was quite an hour, but maybe next week I'll have the music going and I can play some songs. But for now, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for putting up with me, and I'll hopefully next week I'll be here when Gloria comes in and play some music for y'all. Okay, thanks. Bye.